All right, so for this assignment, we're going to be doing a photo correction. I'll give you guys the photo that you're going to be using for this assignment. So what you'll do is download the photo, and then wherever you download it, you're going to make sure you go to Open from Computer, find that photo, and then open it up in Photopea. Okay, so I saved mine on my desktop. It's in my lessons folder. This is lesson 2, and there it is right here. So I'm going to open it, and it's going to open up like this. So if you notice, this photo looks old. It looks like even someone scanned the photo and it's not even sitting straight. So what we're going to do is, first of all, try to line it up like this so that it's straight. So right when you put it in there, you'll notice that it gives you these options here to kind of resize or reposition it. If you don't see that, you just have to click this right here, this transform controls. Once you do that, you can then rotate it to get it kind of straight, so instead of looking diagonal or disproportionate the way it was. It might be a little hard to kind of figure out how to get that, but when you do get it to where you want it, press enter. Okay, and then what it's going to do is reset it now. So now you notice our square is back to being square instead of rotated the way it was. Okay. Now what I can do is crop it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my crop tool. So this is your crop tool. It looks like the zigzag lines. The hotkey for this is C, so I can press C and go there. But when I get to my crop tool, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start at a corner here, and I'm just going to kind of grab as much of the photo as I can. Don't worry if you take out some of it, like, right here. I'm going to go down here. And if you notice, it's still not straight because there's still white right here. So what I'm going to do here is, let's see, actually I just went forward. Let me go back, edit, step forward. I'm going to do it again real quick. So I'm just going to trace the picture. And if you, like I said, if you notice the part up there, that's fine. We're just going to press enter now. Okay. And I'm going to do it again. Actually, I'm going to rotate it again real fast because it's still not quite straight. So now it's more straight up there. Now I can go back to my crop tool and let's see, cancel that. I'm going to try to get it right. And if you need to, you can zoom in like this, but I don't think we need to actually. Let's do it again. I'm just trying to get rid of that white right here. Okay. I still don't even think it's getting rid of it. Just do it like that. There you go. Okay, so now it's all clear. Now it just looks like the normal photo. Okay, that took a little bit longer than I thought. Now what we're going to do for this next part, and now hopefully this works the way we want it to, but what we're going to do next is get rid of this little boy here that's not supposed to be here. Okay, we're going to assume that might be the lady's kid, but what we're going to assume here is that this kid is not part of the family, and we're going to get rid of him. Okay, so hopefully this works here. I know it would normally work on what do you call it, on Photoshop, but it might not work on here. So we're going to try our best to get this to work. And if it doesn't work quite right, we'll figure out things to do instead. But what we're going to do to make the boy disappear is we're going to do what's called the content aware move tool. Okay. And let me make sure this is going to work right real quick. I'm going to trace him like this. Okay. So now that's not quite what we want. And my computer's freezing. Okay. Let me go back. Okay, instead of the content aware move tool, we don't want to actually move. We're just going to do the patch tool. So I'm going to trace around the boy. And if you notice, I'm not tracing right on him. I'm just kind of leaving some space around him like this. And if you need to zoom in, you can zoom in too to make sure you get this right. But once you get it like that and you trace him, what you're going to do now is just move over, grab it. So I'm clicking and I'm moving over. And I'm dragging over to a spot that doesn't have the boy. So what it's doing here is it's taking the boy and you're kind of putting something else in his place. And in this case, the emptiness or the blankness right here. Now, if you notice the buildings don't match quite right, and also make sure that right there on the brick, do you see the brick right here? If I go up too much, what it's going to do is it's going to look, the wall's not going to look right. So I got to match it just right like this. And I don't want to go over too much to get the lady in here. I just want to get it about right here. And if this works like Photoshop, what it's going to do is it's going to recognize its surroundings. It's going to try to blend it in. So if I let go, see how it kind of blended a little bit? Now things don't look quite right. Like there's some um, doubling going on here, and we can fix that up later. And if you notice some of that doesn't line up right, but for the most part, we got rid of the boy and we got it looking mostly legit. Okay, some people wouldn't notice unless they looked really hard that something's wrong here. Okay, but we can fix that too to make it look even better. Okay. Now that we got rid of the boy, the next thing we want to do is make sure I'm doing these on the right order. Is kind of brighten up the picture a little bit, okay? So to brighten up the picture a little bit, what we're going to do is, right now it has this kind of yellow tone going on, okay? So what we're going to do first is go to our adjustments. So I'm going to go up here to adjustments where it's image adjustments, and then I'm going to change the curve. I'm going to click curves here, okay? And then when this happens, now on Photoshop, what you can actually do is click on certain things here and then make it all kind of adjust to that. And I don't see the option for that here. So what I mean is I could click right here on this girl's white shirt, because that's if you notice some things that are supposed to be white here look yellow. So if we want things to be white like everything else, we would click the thing that looks white and then everything else would match it. But in this case, it doesn't look like, oh yeah, there you go. I can do it. So I clicked on the white here, and then I went over here and clicked on her white shirt, and everything kind of matched that white, because that was the only part of the picture that was actually white the way it was supposed to be. Okay. So I click OK real quick, and that looks, I mean, that's fine. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back, and you can see the difference that made. Look at that. Just by going to curves and selecting the white and making everything else match that, we made a big difference in the photo. Okay. We can also do something up here. We go to image adjustments and go to levels, and you can kind of do the same thing here a little bit. And what this does is showing you the differences in the blacks, the grays, and the whites in the picture. And if you adjust these numbers, you can kind of change some stuff up. So for instance, this is at 1. I can change it to 0.9. Okay. And it's little subtle differences. So what that did is it kind of made it a little less bright looking. And then also over here, I think that actually looks fine. Let's see. Actually, over here for the blacks, let's bring out some of the blacks a little bit for the contrast. So I'm going to move it over to 15. And that just kind of shifted everything a little bit. And I don't know, maybe that looks better at 1. Let me check that again. Maybe that looks okay, I guess. So I just adjusted some of these levels here, and I'm just adjusting. So for instance, I'm making the blacks pop out a little bit more. Instead of over here being where it was, I do this and the blacks kind of pop out more. And if I keep going, it gets darker and darker and darker. You see that? So these are just changing the levels of the certain color types that are in there, which are blacks, whites, and grays. Okay. So 15, that looks good. I'll click OK. The next thing we want to do is start getting rid of some of the damages to the photo. Okay. To do this, what we're going to do next is we use what's called the clone stamp tool. And what the clone stamp tool, let me find that. Hopefully it's on here. There it is. Right there. Okay, sometimes there's usually tools in there, but I'm going to zoom in real quick. And what this does is it allows us, I'm going to go back to my clone stamp tool. It allows us to adjust, well, let me change the size of it. So in Photoshop, oh, there it goes. Okay. To change the size of it on your keyboard, you can use your bracket keys. So if you don't know what those bracket keys are, I'll try to show you real quick on the camera. Can you see there it is. So these two keys right here. So here's backspace, here's P. Then you have these two brackets. If you press these, you see if you look at the screen, the size of the brush is changing. Okay, so you can get it the way you want it. So that looks good right there. And then what I can do now is I can press Alt. So I'm holding down Alt on my keyboard, Alt. And I can sample something I like, and then I'm going to then let go of Alt, and then I'm going to paint that onto something I don't like. So for instance, this doubling here. I don't want the doubling. So I'm going to sample what I like here. So I click it over here. I'm holding Alt. I let go of Alt, and then I can kind of just paint it over here, okay? Now in Photoshop, this will blend as well. Now this isn't blending. Let me see. It does say it's blending, but it doesn't look good. Photoshop will do this in a much nicer way. So if that's the case, if that doesn't look so good, what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna make my brush smaller. I want it to be as small as possible because I don't want it to show, and I'm gonna try to get as close as possible. So like that, okay? So see how I'm doing that now? So I'm doing it smaller and closer so it doesn't look so much different. And like I said, in Photoshop, this will look really good, but in here it's just not quite the way we want, okay? So I'm even trying to get some of the stuff here, and maybe that looks good enough so that people don't realize, hey, there's something going on here. But that looks pretty good, and I can even, adjust it so it looks totally separate. That's good. Now this part right here, we want to get this over here so it kind of makes a straighter line. So this part might be a little bit harder. So what you're going to do here is make your brush kind of match that size right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Alt right here, and then I'm just going to kind of go along. You see how I'm doing that? And I'm going to press Alt again right here. Okay, and that looks pretty good. As far as this part right here, where that's right there, I can also make my brush a little bit bigger. Press Alt here, and let's see, just kind of blending this in. It might not look the greatest, but we're just trying to make it look less. And like I said, in Photoshop, this would normally blend. There may be a way we can make this blend a little bit. There's a tool here called the healing brush tool, this one. And when I use this tool, this should blend it a little bit better. Let's see. Oh, it's wanting us to clone as well. Let's see. Let me try spot healing. I think spot healing. So this one, you shouldn't have to clone for spot healing. And yeah, so if I rub that around right there, like see how that blended it so it doesn't look so rough around the edges? Yeah, that looks a little better. Okay, so that tool right there is going to help get rid of those solid lines that are going on, okay? I can also use this tool, and what it does is it kind of recognizes surroundings and then adjust accordingly. So what I can also do with this tool is I'm going to use my hand here and move over. So this hand tool can let you kind of drag over. I'm going to use that same tool I just showed you, the spot healing brush tool, and I'm going to go through here and try to just clean up things that are messed up. Do you see that? So I'm going to click it. My computer froze again, but it's fine. See how I got rid of that white? So let me go back and show you. There was a white line there, but when I brushed over it, it went away. Okay, and I'm just going to go through and brush over anything that doesn't look like it should be there. Okay, I'm going to scroll over, go back to my spot healing brush tool. Okay, this might be laggy on y'all's computer too, but just try your best to, and just see how I'm cleaning up all these little dust speckles that are going on this picture. Let's scroll over some more. I'm going to do it again. We're already almost kind of getting done with this picture. I'm just cleaning it up. Okay, and then, all right. So now for this long crease going right down the middle, what we can do with this tool we're on is we're just going to brush it down like this, and it should just clean it right up. Now you'll notice here that's not quite right. Now when you're doing the healing brush tool, it blends, but if you want things to have the perfect way it used to look, you're going to want to use your clone stamp tool here because it does an exact copy. Okay, it doesn't blend, as we noticed, right? It doesn't blend. It has kind of hard, rough edges. So if you don't want things to like blend and create distortion, you want to use your clone stamp tool so that it does an automatic, let's see. So it does an automatic trace here. So let me go through this real fast. I'm going to go to my clone stamp because I want it to, remember, I don't want it to blend. I want it to be a straight line. So I'm going to just make this a little smaller here. And then I'm going to go to this, and I'm just going to try and do it just like that. The problem with this is it just looks so rough that it doesn't, it almost looks too, okay. Now, if I want to clean up these little parts here that just look like weird, I'm just going to go back to my healing brush tool, and I'm just going to try to blend some of that in so that it doesn't look quite so rough around the edges, okay? So remember that clone stamp tool is for nice edges that you want to create, that want to match, that you don't want to blend. So like say if you're working on someone's face and there's a cut on it from the picture and you want to blend it. Well, if the face it has an edge where it goes from his face to the background, if you use your healing tool, it's going to blend his face to the background and that doesn't look right. So you're going to have to use your clone stamp tool around edges and use your healing brush tool on solid surfaces like this that you don't worry if it blends. Well, it's perfect because everything around it looks the same. So if you're trying to get rid of someone's acne, if they have a lot of acne on their picture, we'll do something like this later. You're going to want to use that healing brush tool to get rid of his acne to match his skin around him that looks good. But when you get to the side of his head, where his head then shows the background behind it, you have to use this clone tool, the clone stamp tool, so that it gets that perfect line. Okay? So just remember that. Clone stamp tools for edges, healing brush tools for bigger backgrounds, and things like that. Okay? I'm going to zoom out real quick. I need to get this line right here. So we're going to just use that healing brush tool again. And it should look fine because the brick kind of has a... There you go. Look at that. It looks really good. Okay? And it's kind of blending with its surroundings. And there we go. We kind of fixed this photo up that was damaged before. I got to get this part up here. Get this. And if we look at what the picture originally looked like, I can go back to the top up here and show you. Actually, I can open it up again. Let me see. File, open. That's what it used to look like, and then that's what we got it looking like now. We restored the photo and made it look much better, okay? Even got rid of the little boy. So using those different tools, what you're going to end up doing here, and practice along with me. So hopefully you did this one this is due this week. Next week, what's going to be due is doing this on your own for a photo that you find on your own. I'll go over that with you guys in another video, but this is what's due this week. Watching this video and trying to do this on your own with me, okay? Or doing not on your own, but doing it with me. That's it for now, guys.